Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today we're going to be going over a fan theory that is coming from one of my patrons over on the Naruto Explain Patreon, which is one of my patrons has brought up the suggestion that there is more to the current events of the manga than we're seeing than actually meets the eye, and they're pointing the finger solely at Kawaki. While I'm not 100% on board with this idea, I do think they raised enough good points that it would be a fun discussion to have over here on the greater community here on YouTube and see what you guys think about my patron's fan theory and if he's cooking up a whole recipe book or not. So my patron messaged me and they said they have this theory that Kawaki is the one behind this attack that we're seeing in the manga, and they go pretty in depth for their reason why. They said Kawaki is working with Code to draw out Boruto. They say the fact that Code would even come into Konoha to lure out Boruto is strange because Code believes Boruto was in Kawaki's place, basically because the Shinjutsu swapped Code's memory of Boruto and Kawaki. They say there wasn't anything about Boruto that should have a connection to Sarada and Konoha, yet Code tells Sarada specifically to scream so she can lure out Boruto, which leads to my patron to believe that Kawaki fed false information for the purposes of luring Boruto out of hiding. So there are parts of this that I do like, and there are some that I'm not fully on board with. So before we look at the narrative impact on this theory in terms of what it would be should this end up being correct, before we look at that, I do want to go over some of my concerns I have with the fan theory up front right now. I don't think it's out of character for Code to attack Konoha as a way to lure out Boruto, even with his mind being switched because of the Shinjutsu where he associates all his memories of Kawaki with Boruto and vice versa, because in Boruto Naruto Next Generations we did have Code face to face with Kawaki, and Kawaki during that time was begging and pleading Code to spare Konoha and only punish him and him alone for the death of Ishiki, since he's technically the one who killed Ishiki. In his mind, Boruto is the one who would fit that memory, and targeting Sarada makes sense just given that he's fought Boruto and Sasuke over and over again. So the idea of him targeting Sarada is something in character because she's the daughter of one of his targets who just happens to be someone traveling with Boruto. So if you bring out Boruto, you probably bring out Sasuke. That was likely Code's line of thinking. That's one of my main hesitations I have for the fan theory, but the rest are counterpoints that are so loose I'm not going to fall into the trap of going too in detail over them, because there's always the chance that Kishimoto and Ikimoto take the time to subvert our expectations with the future reveal. Those loose points I have are how would Kawaki have even gotten in contact with Code, because logically speaking he wouldn't have gone directly to Code because one, he wants to kill Code, and there's also the issue of his chakra signature being monitored by Konoha, so if Kawaki suddenly erases it, Shikamaru would be made aware of it. There's always the option that Kawaki sent the message to Code via Ada, since technically Code can't harm her due to the effects of her charm Shinjutsu that allows her to control the heart, so technically he couldn't do physical harm to her without destroying his own mind. But I hesitate there as well because Ada made her promise to not help Konoha or Kawaki look for Boruto or Sasuke as long as they stayed away from the Land of Fire, but that promise was made under the agreement she didn't use her Senrigan to look for him, so it's not impossible. Assuming she doesn't get turned off by him like she did when Kawaki took advantage of the situation to hunt down Boruto, assuming that didn't happen, then maybe she actually helps out Kawaki, but again I'm not sure, but it's ambiguous enough to where if it happens I won't be shocked. So now that we have my initial reservations out the way, let's look at the fan theory itself and see what the potential impact on the story would be. So first and foremost, I definitely think there is something from the manga that could be twisted to fit this perspective, because the statement is ambiguous enough to make it work, which is that from Boruto chapter 1, when Boruto and Kawaki are mixing it up, Boruto has a line where he stops Kawaki and tells him, "I didn't think that you would go this far," and we have no idea of what drove Boruto to say such a thing in that very moment, but going by my patron's line of thinking, it wouldn't be crazy to say that this is what made Boruto say that. Now, I've always thought that perhaps Boruto was saying it after being away for so many years and seeing Kawaki willingly embrace the life of pretending to be Naruto's son and turning Boruto's village against him, potentially making him fight against his former comrades. But this is something that could work from a narrative perspective when you sit down and think about it, because that was going to be Kawaki going to a point where he crossed the line, especially given that it could lead to a potential mass loss of life. Just given how spooked Boruto appears to be of the Tento soldiers that Code has and what's going to happen in the future, Boruto viewed this as a dispute among brothers. Like it would be something that he and Kawaki would settle alone by themselves without involving anyone else. Between that situation, the Tento soldiers, you can see why Boruto is quickly getting spooked. When Kawaki first started going off at the deep end, Boruto was the one who actually put him in check during the sparring match, and again when he sealed away Naruto and Hinata, Boruto attempted to deal with Kawaki by himself without getting anyone else involved. It's in character for him to take that as stance, and it's something that you would expect from the son of Naruto to do, because Boruto's doing exactly what Naruto did when he saw that Sasuke had gotten too far over the line and that a certain level of force would be needed to bring Sasuke back to his senses. Naruto told Sasuke, take out all that anger and hatred, bottle it up, and save it all for me the next time that we meet. I'll bear all that hatred the next time we fight. If you beat me, go off and do whatever you want to do, but I'll stop you and I'll bring you back where you belong. Boruto is in a similar space right now after Ada told him in Boruto Naruto Next Generation she still believes that Kawaki views him like a brother. He basically referred to it as being a brotherly dispute. In his eyes, Kawaki pulling something like this using the village that Boruto loves in order to lure him out of hiding, regardless as to how many people it actually puts in danger, that's enough to rile up Boruto. And Kawaki has shown that he's hot-headed, but he's also calculated enough to go full scorched earth, knowing that Boruto won't sit by and do nothing, which means he'll put out the fire that Kawaki sets before too much damage spreads elsewhere. Are we really going to say Kawaki is truly above doing something like this in order to lure out Boruto? What he cares about the most is to ensure that Naruto can live into a world where he's safe. If that means a few buildings got to go boom boom, so what? A village can be rebuilt. If that means a few people have to die in the process, so what? A village can be repopulated. It's a cold and it's a logical approach that takes out all emotion, something we know Kawaki is capable of even when he's making an emotional decision, because he literally tells Naruto, I'm gonna kill your son, and when you come out of that pocket dimension, you're probably gonna want to kill me, and I won't stop you when you do, because in his mind, Kawaki thinks he's doing the world a service. It's the thinking of someone who has lost their way and is tiptoeing the line between the hero's journey and the path of the tyrant, basically walking the razor's edge the way that Anakin Skywalker did in the prequels. One bad mistake by Kawaki and he'll be pushed to a point where he has no choice but to cross all the lines up until the very last line that's left to cross, which is when he'll inevitably get redeemed. Kawaki knowingly made the choice with Naruto to seal him away. He knowingly saw what happened with the Shinjutsu, and he used it as an opportunity to not just make Boruto get hunted down by the village, by the very same friends he knows Boruto won't raise an arm against in combat, but he's been driven to a point where he knows that Boruto's the most wanted man on the entire continent, because killing Naruto is more than just killing the Hokage. It's literally killing the symbol of hope that shone light through the darkness of the Fourth Ninja War and lit the path to this new semi-peaceful era between nations. Kawaki knew all that and still put Boruto into the crosshairs. If he's willing to go that far to ensure Boruto's killed, where he puts Boruto's kind-hearted nature against him and he places him in situations where Boruto, by constantly fighting and holding back, will make himself more vulnerable, since it takes more effort to restrain somebody when you're fighting opposed to fighting with the intention to kill. It's enough that I could see why my patron thinks that Kawaki might have found a way to get Code to target Konoha in order to lure out Boruto. Even if he doesn't go directly to him, or even if he has Ada go to him, the idea of him placing small things in order to make a situation where Code thinks that going to Konoha will lure out Boruto was his own idea. Kawaki is smart enough to take advantage of Code's lack of intelligence in order to gaslight him from afar to push Code into a scenario where Kawaki can inevitably kill two birds with one stone. Code kills Boruto, Code weakens Boruto to a point where Kawaki can kill him easily, and then Kawaki turns around and kills Code. Again, I'm not completely certain this is going to end up being the case. I see some issues with this Pateron fan theory, but narratively, I do think Kawaki, if he were to pull something like this, it's a good way for the character to get more heat, and he deserves an Actor of the Year award for acting so shocked that Boruto and Code were in Konoha unless he was more shocked like, oh man, this is finally happening. That being said, I'm curious to know what you guys' thoughts on this matter is though. Do you agree with my patron that Kawaki isn't as innocent as he's pretending to be right now? While you think that over, click here to watch my latest Oshino Code chapter review on Kryptonian Saiyan.